Good evening. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin, because this is Used Car Heaven, and this is the programme that gives you the chance, if you're looking to buy a used car at the moment, to come and join us on the programme each week and get to drive 3 fantastic cars. Look out for more details at the end of the programme about how you can come and join us. Also on this week's programme, Simon Hughes, he's the car doctor. He's back in the surgery spurting blood everywhere, or perhaps a little bit of oil, and Brad will have more insider tips on the Trading Post. But on this week's programme, we've lined up 2 Audis and a BMW convertible for this week's lucky viewer. And it is Sarjay Pathan from Batley. Sarj is 22 and a full-time student. At the moment he drives this very smart Golf 1.8 Turbo, but he's ready for a change and has his eye on a few tasty morsels. His budget of £25,000 to £30,000 will certainly buy him a classy car. Hi Sarj, nice to meet you.
How you doing?
Thanks for coming on the programme this week here on Used Car Heaven. We'll look at these 3 beauties that we've lined up for you to try out. Okay? An Audi S3, a BMW M3 convertible, and an Audi TT Roadster, 225 brake horsepower. I mean, at the moment you drive the Golf GTI.
Yeah,
you happy with that?
1.8 turbo one. Yes, I'm fairly happy, but I want a quick change.
You're looking to move on?
Yeah.
What sort of money, most importantly, are you looking to spend?
Well, my mum's giving me about 20k, but I'm trying to add an extra 10.
You're a lucky lad, eh? So you've got a decent budget, up to £30,000 to spend. Well, how about this one, an Audi TT Roadster?
Yeah, I'm just looking at it, and it looks really nice.
Smart car, isn't it? I mean, the style of it is fantastic, isn't it? You've got all the power as well. You've got 4-wheel drive.
The leathers, interior, everything.
Yeah, you name it, everything on this car.
Fully loaded,
Fully loaded. It's at the upper end of that price range, £27,000 for this.
Oh, we're roughly there.
Come and have a look at the BMW M3 now. As you can see, this is the oldest of the 3 cars. It's a few years old. In fact, it's about 7 years old. It's an M-Reg. It's not an Evo. So it's not as powerful.
Below, isn't it?
It's the model below the Evo, but it's still got 280 brake horsepower. It looks a bit dated now, do you think?
A bit dated, but still attractive though.
£18,000 for this car. It's
still a bit steep, I think.
Do you think it's a bit steep? It's obviously the cheapest of the 3 that we've got for you. But of course it's soft top, it's in bright red. Do you like bright red with black leather?
Red. Ferrari colour red, isn't it?
Yeah? Does it work on a BMW though?
Maybe. On some people, I think, isn't it?
Perhaps. So £18,000 for that. You're beginning to think already it's a bit steep.
A bit steep, yeah.
Come and have a look at this gorgeous S3. Now, I think you'll probably find this fairly similar to the Golf, because essentially it's a Golf but with an Audi badge on it at the end of the day.
Same chassis, same body and everything.
Absolutely. And a lot of the interior is the same as well. Same sort of switchgear and things. But of course with the S3 you get, the big wheels, the flared wheel arches, the spoilers.
And faster.
Faster, a lot faster. I mean, 225 brake horsepower, and your Golf is what, 150, 180, something like that? 150 bhp. So this is an awful lot more powerful. Quattro 4-wheel drive. Price range, this kind of sits in the middle. 23 grand for this.
Yeah, my mum would be happy.
She would, wouldn't you? Would you be happy though?
Yeah.
Listen, the most important thing is the way it drives. Jump in there.
Okay,
we'll take it out for a spin in a moment. Right. But before that, here's Brendan Coogan with more about the Audi S3.
Do you know what, Saj? Of all the cars you've got to decide from, this is one that I'm most undecided about. Now, it depends on whether you consider this as the real McCoy. The Audi TT, that's a genuine roadster, whereas this, well, for me, it's mutton dressed as lamb. It's an Audi A3. Sure, we know it's a 225 brake horsepower Audi S3, 4-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in a bit over 6 seconds. But at the end of the day, it's a bit of a reps car, isn't it? But like a surgically enhanced model, this car has had nips, tucks and implants in all the right places. And the end product is a really quite beautiful car. New, this car would set you back 26 grand. This is about a year old, so it's about 24. But you could get a 99 plate on a T for about £17,000. Saj, good value. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Brendan. Well, we're in the Audi S3 now, Saj. What do you reckon to this car? Can you feel the power?
I can feel the power underneath my foot. It's just amazing.
You've got 225 brake horsepower. Of course, you've got Quattro 4-wheel drive, so it's going to be very secure on the road. I mean, does it feel a lot different to the Golf?
By miles.
Yeah?
Yeah, you can tell.
I mean, bearing in mind that essentially this is a Golf, the A3, the S3.
It's similar.
It all shares the same sort of running gear, the same floor plan. And a lot of the interior is fairly similar as well, isn't it?
The interior is very nice, actually.
Yeah. But of course, this is the top of the range.
Top of the range.
A3, the S3. So you get just about everything on it. You've got these fantastic Recaro seats, full leather, Bose sound system, climate control,
AC.
I mean, what is it that you're really looking for in your new car? What are the sort of the main features that you would want on it?
I'm looking for a sporty type.
Yeah.
A car that's got power.
Yeah.
And obviously looks.
And the look, do you think?
Because it attracts people just looking at it, innit?
I think this S3 has got the looks.
Everything's got the looks. The power's at 6 speed.
6-speed gearbox. Yeah. 225 brake horsepower.
You can race anyone on traffic like that. I mean, every gear you just got power. You can feel the power, even if in the 3rd or 4th gear.
It pulls very low down, doesn't it? Yeah. The Audi S3 has a cracking straight-four 1.8-litre engine producing 225 brake horsepower. It's a quick car too, 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds, top speed of 145 miles an hour, but it's high on the insurance Group 17. They came out on a 99 T-plate and continue to the present day, and these are the sort of prices you could pay for one. A W-Reg Quattro 53,000 miles for 16,995, or a later car on an O2 Reg 25,000 miles for just under 25 grand. So Sarge, there we are, the Audi S3. I think you really enjoyed that, didn't you?
I think this car's beautiful, it's just perfect.
One of the things you said to me, rich man's toy.
Rich man's toy, yeah.
Do you think it lives up to its billing, the S3?
It absolutely does. 225 bhp. It's got power in every gear.
Yeah. Pulls well, handles well. It's got everything on it. Recaro seats, fantastic.
Got
bags of
armrests like
space.
what I haven't got my Golf.
Yeah. Take all your mates around in it.
Yeah.
I mean, the one thing that's maybe lacking is the sunroof.
Yeah, no sunroof.
And what about the colour? Silver?
I think
favourite colour? Silver or
silver's
black?
nice, but I think black would be nice with chrome mirrors. Yeah, black would do it.
So this is standing you. This is a good car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
At first I didn't like it, but now
got used to it.
Like it.
Get to drive the BMW and the TT very soon, but before that, let's see what's happening in the surgery. Here's the car doctor.
Every kid on the block wants one of these. No, I'll rephrase that. Every kid on the block wants one of these that runs properly. Now this is an Astra F or a Mark II Astra, and it's the GTE version, which is very, very quick, but it does have a running problem, which is common across quite a lot of ranges of motor cars. Now this is quite sporty and it's got quite a complicated fuel injection system on it. And the symptoms with this car are that it's sort of cutting out at junctions, does what it wants, hunts a bit, revs up and down, uncontrollable almost. And you could be fooled into maybe spending a lot of money at a garage replacing some parts. But in reality, this car has a thing called an auxiliary air valve or an idle speed control valve, and it allows unfiltered air to go through it to actually control the tick-over speed. Now this gets a bit dirty and it basically doesn't operate properly. This is a rotary type on this one, and it basically stops the car from running properly at tick-over and at different parts when you're running. Now then, what you can do to save some money is take it off, give it a wash out with some brake cleaner and the airline, pop it back on, and 9 times out of 10 the car will be okay until the next service. So before you go and spend a lot of money on replacing parts, maybe check that out on your car, and hopefully you'll have some trouble-free motoring.
Thanks, Simon. There'll be more from our redoubtable car doctor at the same time next week here on Used Car Heaven. But on this week's programme, we're looking to find a new car for Sarge. He's already driven the Audi S3, and now it's the turn of this 7-year-old BMW M3 convertible. And for more information about that, here's Brendan Coogan.
The BMW M3 is a car that, like Marmite or Brussels sprouts, you either love or hate. Having said that, I love and hate this car in equal measure. I love it because it will go from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. I love it. I hate it because it's driven by twits. I hate it. I love it because it will go 155 miles per hour. I really, really love it. I hate it because those twits are usually of ill-gotten gains. I don't like it. It's a purist's driving car. Rear-wheel drive, loads of handling, performance. You see? Don't you just love it? But I hate it because if it's not youths of ill-gotten gains, it's Cheshire wives and ladies who lunch. I don't like it. Inside it's fully equipped. They started making the BMW M3 on an L plate, the coupe, in '93, and this, a '94 M-Reg of average miles and average service, will set you back about 14,000 Saj. This, fully BMW serviced with low mileage, only 30,000 miles on the clock, will set you back about £17,000. But have a think. It's loud, aggressive, and yet it's sleek and stylish. It's sporty and handles brilliantly, but, well, it's still what it is, an M3. You decide, Saj. I just can't.
Thanks again, Brendan. Well, we're certainly lucky with the weather today because we're in the BMW M3 convertible now. Sarge, this is by far the oldest of the 3 cars that we've got on test for you today. I mean, this is an M-Reg car, so it's pushing, what, 7 years
7 years, yeah.
And it looks its age, doesn't it, to be honest?
It certainly does.
I could tell from the moment you got in this car that you were beginning to think, not so sure about the interior.
Not so keen, yeah.
How does it feel to drive?
The drive is very nice, actually.
Smooth, isn't it, once you get going?
For an old car, it's still smooth.
Does this have the sort of cruisability aspect that you would want in a car?
Yes.
Yeah?
It does have, yeah. But just that, I think you have to go to the petrol station every 10 minutes or so.
It's going to be thirsty. And probably driving around town, this is going to be fairly hard work, I think, as well. Yeah.
It's got the pose, it's got the looks.
Yeah.
It's everything.
I mean, £18,000 for this car, it's way cheaper than the other two cars on offer.
It's steep for this car though.
Do you think this is still too much?
Yeah, it's still too much.
You'd be upset paying 18 grand for a 7-year-old car?
Yeah, I would.
I would say that this is probably a little bit overpriced, yeah. You were saying it's done low mileage, but you don't think it's worth the money. I mean,
No,
it was 40 grand when it was new, this car.
40 grand?
40 grand, 7 years ago. It's a lot of money then.
Then I guess it might be worth it.
There's no doubting how desirable BMW's M3 convertible is, even an older car like this. It's got a great straight-six 3-litre engine producing around 300 brake horsepower. It's not as quick as the present-day M3s, but it's still pretty quick all the same. 0 to 60 in 5.2 seconds, top speed of 155 miles an hour, but it's heavy on the insurance. It's a Group 19. What about prices? Well, we saw a 97p coupe with 35,000 miles for £17,500. Well, Sarge, that's the BMW M3 convertible for you. I suspect probably in its heyday, when this car was new 6 or 7 years ago, it was fantastic, but now it's a bit long in the tooth, really, isn't it?
Yeah, now this M3 is just too old for this generation now.
I mean, the latest M3 looks fantastic and really puts this to shame, doesn't it?
I have to say, because the latest one is just like a beast, and this is just too small. And
yeah, a bit too soft now these days, isn't it?
I mean, the interior is just... can't compare to the new ones.
It's nothing special anymore, is it?
It's all dials.
£18,000 for this. You think that's very expensive, don't you?
That's too much, yeah.
I think you're probably right. I mean, you've got a fantastic engine underneath here, but...
it's got a big car and everything, don't get me wrong, powerful.
And it's got the cruise factor, hasn't it?
The pose factor, the cruise.
Looks good, yeah.
Looks good.
OK, well, you've already driven the S3, you've driven the BMW, you get a chance to drive the Audi TT soon. Also in part 2 of the programme, we've got Brad at the trading post and Brendan has an alternative idea. And that's all coming up in a couple of minutes' time. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Used Car Heaven. On this week's programme we're looking to find a new car for Sarge. He's already driven an Audi S3 and a BMW M3 convertible. Still to come he'll get to drive this Audi TT Roadster, 225 brake horsepower of it. Also coming up in part 2 very soon there'll be more insider tips from Brad at the trading post. But before that, here's Brendan Coogan with an alternative idea to these 3 cars.
Some cars, fairly or unfairly, have a tag as being a bit of a hairdresser's car, and I'm afraid this beautiful Mercedes is one such case in point. It's a Mercedes CLK 230 compressor and it's a stunning car, but unfortunately it's got an image problem. But Sarj, get past that. This is a stunning car to drive and to be seen in. Let's have a look at the outside. You see, Sarj, once you get past that image problem, what you're getting is a sleek, sexy, long-lined Mercedes-Benz. And the equipment levels in there, as you can imagine, are first class. And that's what you expect for the money, because the high end of this car, well, when it's brand new, would be the best part of £35,000. But, Sarj, if you go back to a 98 R-plate, you can pick one of these up for as little as £21,000. But with the CLK, you do get a vast range of engines, from the 2-litre 4-cylinder right up to the, quite frankly, ridiculous 4.3-litre V8 unit. Not so much environmental as just mental. But this, we think, is the best of the bunch. The 2.3-litre compressor. Throaty, sporty, and just enough energy for this size of car. Sarj, it's just an alternative we thought you might want to consider.
Thanks very much, Brendan. A Mercedes-Benz CLK Coupe. What about that, Sarge? You like the look
it's
at
better
that?
than the M3, I guess.
Better than the M3. You've got to hang up about that. What about this Audi TT? I think this car needs to be driven.
Yeah, I think it needs to be driven.
Let's go.
Let's drive it.
Let's go.
Remember when you were a kid at school and you used to draw cars on the back of your exercise books of what cars would look like in the future? No? Perhaps that was just me. Anyway, this is what I thought cars would look like, and I'm not disappointed. This is a car for the future, let alone today. It is a beautiful Audi TT Roadster, and the inside is just as beautiful. Take a look. Yes, the inside is not a disappointment. All polished aluminium and steel. It is beautiful. Now, the choices with an Audi TT are simple. You can have a roadster or a coupe. There's two engines, 180 brake or 225 brake, both relying on a 1.8 turbocharged 4-cylinder unit. But Sarj, the choices are yours. For a 99 T-plate, you can probably pick one up for about £17,000. This, however, the fully 225 brake roadster will set you back about 26. And remember, with the coupe and with the roadster, you're making sacrifices. You get no back seat with this, but loads more style. Sarj, the choice is yours.
Thanks very much, Brendan. Well, we're in the third of our 3 cars for Sarj today, and it's the Audi TT Roadster. It's the 225 brake horsepower, so it's got the same engine, same performance, or it should have, as the Audi S3 that you drove earlier. I mean, when you first arrived this morning and you saw the 3 cars that we got set up for you, I think you were immediately drawn towards this, weren't you?
The TT.
Yeah?
Convertible, that's what I think.
You like the convertible, you like the looks of the TT, presumably, yeah?
It looks very attractive, I guess.
It's a fantastic car to look at. I mean, to be honest, I think that the Roadster isn't as nice to look at as the coupe.
The coupe ones, yeah.
Coupe looks fantastic, doesn't it?
I think this Roadster, like convertible, it's more like for women.
Do you reckon? A bit of a girly car.
Girly car.
Yeah,
and
we've had a bit of ribbing about that, haven't we? Yeah, I can see that.
The hardtops for the men.
The hardtops for men, Roadster, yeah. I think that's a fair comment, actually. Now, this is the most expensive of the 3. I mean, you're looking at 27 grand for this, and it's only a few months old, as you would expect, and the Roadsters haven't been out for that long, and they're managing to hold their value pretty well, so you're not going to find a particularly cheap version of this. Would you be happy spending the money on it?
If I was a woman, I guess so, I would be.
Yeah? But you're not. I don't think you are, anyway. How does the car feel when you're actually out on the road now that we're driving it? I mean,
this car's very smooth.
Very
it's
smooth,
like
S3,
exactly the same as S3.
And there's not too much wind into the cabin.
No,
it's fantastic. It's the ideal day for it today.
This car's just perfect for summer.
Yeah. So it's got that pose factor. It's got the cruisability factor that you want.
Everything.
Yeah.
What a woman wishes. What she looks in for a man, she's got in for the car.
You name it, it's got it on it. Well, it is fully loaded, this car. You've got heated seats, you've got climate control, of course. You've got electronic stability program should you
heated seats.
Get into trouble. Yeah, I mean, you know. And of course, it's got quattro four-wheel drive, same as the S3. Does it feel quicker than the S3, or does it feel about the same to you?
I think she's got the same battery, really.
Yeah, well, it should do, because it's, you know, essentially the same car underneath. It runs the same engine and everything, so it should feel.
I think it feels a bit quicker because it's a bit smaller. That's
well, it's smaller and a bit lighter than the S3, so it should just about have the edge, I would have thought. The Audi TT uses the same engine basically as in the S3. It's a 1.8 litre turbocharged 225 brake horsepower unit. It's a bit quicker as well, the TT, 6.1 seconds in the dash to 60, and again a top speed of 145 miles an hour. Insurance, well, higher slightly than the S3, 18 for the coupe or 19 for the Roadster. The TT came out on a 99 T-plate and of course it's still running. And the prices are holding up well in the marketplace. Well, Sarj, there we are, the Audi TT Roadster. This morning, first thing off, you thought this was a fantastic car.
Yeah,
having spent some time in it, do you still think the same?
No, now I think it's for women really. This car.
You reckon this is a girly car?
It's a girly car.
What about the coupe? If you have a coupe
for the men.
Coupe for the men, Roadster for the girls.
Roadster for the girls.
It still looks fantastic.
It looks
the
fantastic.
design is superb, isn't it?
Interior is really nice. Everything nice, soft up, but just for women.
It's good cruise factor. This car.
Good cruise factor.
Yeah.
Nice little pose as well.
Yeah.
But I think it's just for women really, isn't it?
Listen, don't give me your final verdict just yet. I think I know where you're going, because before that, we need to get some more insider tips. Here's Brad at the Trading Post.
I've got here today a gorgeous funky little number, the new Mini. 3 models available, the Mini 1, the Mini Cooper, and recently launched the Mini Cooper S, the supercharged version. BMW have tried to stick with the principles of the old Mini with the styling, but they've also added some great little retro touches to the car. This one we're looking at today is a Mini Cooper, list price of around about £13,500. You can pick some used ones up, but bear in mind the original values are standing up very, very well. Inside the vehicle there's some fantastic features to look for. Centre of the dash, there's a big speedo like the old Minis, some great little chrome toggle switches here, big gear knob, lots of chrome in the car, very, very retro. However, if you are going to buy one of these a used vehicle, be aware that there's 2 important recalls to look out for. On the early cars there was a fuel filler problem. If you're buying an early car, check that's been done and it's been stamped by the dealer. More recently there's been a recall for the gearbox cable, which means the car can get stuck in gear. So be aware of those 2 recalls and make sure they have been done at a dealer if you plumb for the used car.
Thanks, Brad. There'll be more insider tips on the Trading Post with Brad at the same time next week here on Used Car Heaven. But now it's decision time on this week's programme. Now, Sarjay, I think you've had a good day with us today.
I've had a
you've
splendid
enjoyed
day
it.
with you.
Yeah?
Driving all these 3 really nice cars.
A BMW and 2 Audis.
Yeah.
Good day, eh?
Good day.
Now, we like to do it in reverse order, so I'd like you to tell us your least favourite car of the 3.
My least is just the red M3, this one.
This
BMW.
BMW.
Too old, too expensive.
7 years old.
7 years old. It's still got the pose.
It has,
but
isn't it?
It's just too old and too expensive.
Too long in the teeth, £18,000. Too
18,000.
expensive as well.
Too expensive.
3rd place for that. 2nd place, well,
The Audi
you put
TT.
the Audi TT Roadster. This is a bit of a surprise because you loved it at the start of the day.
I chose this first one. I
did?
thought I was going to pick the Roadster, but I don't know, I've just changed my mind.
It's the image, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's a bit too much of a girly car.
Girly looks, but it's got a nice pose, nice cruise.
Good to drive, and it's quick too.
Quick shift in every gear.
Marvellous. So 2nd place for that, which means 1st place is going to this, the
S3.
Audi S3.
I know, just amazing, isn't it?
I think you've made a good decision there.
Yeah, rich man's toy, this is, I have to say.
It's
man.
got everything on it. It's got the big wheels, the flared arches, the spoilers.
But if this was in black with chrome mirrors, it just look amazing.
23 grand for that? Happy paying that sort of money?
Yeah, it's worth it. It's got everything, it's fully loaded, like what every man wants, isn't it?
So that's what you go for. Sarge, thanks for your time today.
All right.
That's it for this week's Used Car Heaven. We'll be back at the same time next week. Join us then.